The thick canopy of pines swayed under the breath of a December wind. On the border between the USA and Canada, Highway 23 ran like a dark artery through the wilderness. Patrol Officer Liam Connors was on his usual rounds, the beam of his flashlight piercing the shadows that danced between the towering trees. His radio crackled with static, a routine call about a potential poacher deeper in the woods. He turned off the highway, the tires of his cruiser crunching on the frost-laden forest path. But something felt wrong. The woods had gone silent, save for the sound of his boots on the frozen ground. Then, a low growl rumbled through the night, sending chills down his spine. That was the last time anyone saw Officer Connors. 1 month later, a gas station on the American side of the border came alive in the middle of the night. A man stumbled in, his uniform torn and bloodied. It was Connors, but he looked older, his face gaunt and eyes sunken. He couldn't remember where he had been. The only words he muttered were, "They're coming." Maria Torres of the U.S. Forest Service was assigned to investigate Connors' disappearance and miraculous return. She knew the area well, having grown up near the border. Locals spoke of legends, of spirits that roamed the woods, and of wolves that weren't entirely of this world. Connors' account was fragmented, filled with jarring imagery. A clearing bathed in pale moonlight, the sound of howls harmonizing with human screams, and a pair of burning amber eyes watching him from the darkness. "I remember a cabin," he whispered during their interview. "It's where they kept me, but it wasn't normal. It changed every time I looked at it." Maria and Connor's story drew national attention. Dr. Evelyn Kessler, a biologist specializing in cryptids, reached out to the team, intrigued by reports of large wolves and strange symbols. Maria, desperate for answers, reluctantly allowed Evelyn to join the investigation. When they met, Evelyn dismissed the local legends, focusing instead on scientific explanations. "Wolves don't behave this way unless driven by something. Disease, hunger, or genetic anomalies," she insisted. Maria found her skepticism frustrating, but Evelyn's expertise seemed indispensable. Connors, however, grew agitated at Evelyn's lack of belief, muttering about things beyond science. Gray Carter appeared at the border outpost as Maria and Evelyn planned their next move. Rugged and confident, Gray offered his services, claiming to know the forest better than anyone and to have survived an encounter with the wolves. "They don't hunt like animals. They corner you, push you where they want you," Gray said. His familiarity with the creatures earned him a spot in the group, but Maria didn't fully trust him. Connors seemed wary, and Evelyn noted Gray avoided direct questions about his past. Unknown to the others, Gray wasn't just hunting the wolves. He was hunting the power behind them. The group trekked deeper into the woods, following fresh tracks. Evelyn discovered strange, geometrical patterns etched in the snow, patterns Connors recognized from the cabin. "They're warnings," he whispered, his voice trembling. Evelyn insisted they were natural formations, but Maria felt uneasy. Gray stayed silent, his eyes lingering on the symbols longer than anyone else's. Later that night, as they camped, Connors heard whispers. Wandering from the fire, he stumbled upon a pair of glowing eyes. Before he could scream, a shadow moved behind him, but instead of attacking, it left a claw-marked branch at his feet. Maria found him in the morning, shaken and clutching the branch. The group finally reached the clearing with the cabin. The structure looked older and more decayed than Connors remembered. Evelyn investigated the markings inside, taking notes and photos, while Gray grew restless, muttering about forces that don't forgive. In the middle of their search, Evelyn uncovered an old, dust-covered journal. The entries detailed rituals performed by a long-gone group to summon the first pack, creatures born of shadows and blood. Connors panicked. "We have to leave. They know we're here." His shouting awakened the woods, and the distant howls began again. The wolves attacked at dusk. The group barely held them off as the beasts circled the cabin. Maria noticed Gray standing apart, seemingly unbothered. She confronted him, and he revealed his true motives. "I've been tracking these things for years, Torres. They're not just beasts. They're the key to something much bigger, and I'm here to take it." Gray pulled a strange talisman from his pocket. It bore the same glowing symbol that marked Connors and Maria. Gray used the talisman to repel the wolves momentarily, but the shadowy figures emerged, their presence intensifying the dread in the air. One stepped forward, addressing Gray. "You seek power, Hunter? You shall have it." The wolves stopped attacking, now watching as Gray approached the figure. Evelyn screamed for him to stop, but Gray stepped into the circle of symbols around the cabin. A blinding light erupted, and when it faded, Gray was gone. With Gray gone, the wolves resumed their assault. Connors collapsed, the mark on his neck burning brighter. Evelyn and Maria dragged him into the woods, narrowly escaping as the cabin crumbled into itself, swallowed by the ground. In the chaos, Evelyn realized Gray's talisman was lying in the snow. She grabbed it, feeling its unnatural warmth. The wolves stopped chasing them, held back as the talisman glowed faintly in her hands. The trio found temporary safety in an abandoned ranger station. Evelyn studied the talisman and the journal, piecing together fragments of the ritual. She realized the talisman bound the user to the forest's ancient power, but at a terrible cost. Meanwhile, Maria heard whispers, just as Connors had before. She felt the mark on her neck pulsing, connecting her to the forest. That night, she dreamed of Gray, now part of the shadowy figures, his eyes glowing like the wolves. When Maria woke, Evelyn proposed a dangerous plan. Use the talisman to sever their connection to the forest. But Connors warned them, "The forest doesn't let you leave." Not completely. The group decided to confront the source of the power once more. Evelyn held the talisman tightly. Maria steeled herself for the battle ahead, and Connors, though weak, insisted on coming. They walked into the forest, knowing it would demand a sacrifice. As they disappeared into the trees, the wolves howled again. This time, it sounded almost like laughter,